Hello and welcome to today's episode of 3D Drawing for Your Model Railway. I've been asked to show a video of how I turn a scale plan into a model, so that's going to be the aim for today's lesson. It might be quite a long video, but it gives you a good idea of how I go about creating some of the more unique items that I model. There will also be quite a few jump cuts in this episode because I'm going to be referring back to photographs as I draw the model, and obviously I don't have permission to show those photographs within the YouTube video, so I will have to keep cutting those out as I go along. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the scale plan into my drawing. Okay, there's a couple of ways to do it. This is the way that I generally go about doing it. So I'm going to go insert, and then I'm going to go to canvas. I'm going to go insert from computer, and I'm going to search through my folders to find the picture that I'm after. I'm then going to then pop up with the image on it. I'm going to select the face to be side face here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in to see which way around it is. It's the wrong way round. As you can see, all the text is backwards, so I'm just going to tell it to flip around. Okay, and then we'll click on OK. Okay, so what I now need to do then is to calibrate this image so that I know that it's the correct size for the model I'm producing. So if I go into canvases, and then there's the canvas we just imported, if I right click on it and then calibrate, changes my cursor. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in to the point that it's going to be in line with the end of the buffer stops here, but the buffer here. So I'm going to select the point there. I'm going to zoom across to the other side. Okay, so if we look at the overall length of that, it's supposed to be 10 meters, which converts out to just short of 33 feet. So I'm going to add in here the dimension that I'm going to want. So I'm going to go to 66. So that's giving me 2 millimeters to the foot. Okay, so now this is going to be scaled at the correct length of 2 millimeters to the foot, and giving me 33 feet that I need across the length of the body. Okay, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to right click and edit canvas. I'm going to move it down to the origin point. Okay, and you can see where the center line of the wagon is here, so I'm just going to move that across to the center line slightly. It just takes a little bit of playing around to try and find whereabouts you want it. There we go. And height wise, I'm going to come up. So slightly. Okay. So now I've got the wagon in line with the center line. I'm happy with the position of that. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to start to draw the wagon body shape. Okay, so I'm going to create a sketch on that face. The first thing I'll start with is drawing from the origin, the bottom of the wagon, to the top surface there. Just doing a line there. And there. All I'm doing is I'm just tracing around the outside of the wagon. Okay, so that's the outline of the wagon drawn. I'm going to just use a hotkey, I'm going to dimension that up. Okay, now that I'm happy with the drawing there, I'm going to extrude that across. So I'm only going to draw a quarter of the wagon. So I'm just going to extrude that across. And I know that I need that to be a 8.7 millimeters, because the overall width of the wagon would be 8 foot 7 inches. Obviously, if I'm doing an engage, I just double that up for the full width. So I'm going to go half the width, and that's how I go about getting the basic start of my wagon drawing. Obviously, then I go into a lot more detail, start looking at photos to then try and fatten out the flesh of the model. So with this wagon here, it's got a bit of a well in here. So I'm going to spin this round to this back side. Okay, so I'm going to create a sketch on this back face here. That's going to be the well itself. So I need that to come in line with there, and then it's going to go all the way up to the top face here. So I'm going to dimension the depth of my well. I'm going to go 1.7 millimeters, and then I'm going to put this line here. I want it to be parallel to that one. So if I use the parallel constraint, select that line, select the top line I want it to be, and then I want the horizontal vertical points of these to be the same. So that now snaps that in line there, and that parallel to there. I can then extrude this into the wagon, and I'm going to leave, I'm going to go 7 mil. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to recess the sole bar here. So I'm going to create a sketch on this face here. I'm going to use my offset tool. I'm going to turn off chain selection because I don't want it to go all the way around, but I want to do offset that face, that one, and that one, and I need that to be on the inside. Change that to minus, and it's going to be minus 0.8, 0.6 millimeters. Okay, and then I can extrude this bottom part in, which leaves the lip at the top. I'm going to go minus 0.8. Let's see what that leaves me here. Yeah, I'm probably going to be happy and leave it with that, because I'm looking for a bit of strength on the side here and on the top lip. Okay, actually I might just reduce that lip down slightly. So if I go back into that sketch, edit, I'm just going to, actually I'm going to come out of there, I'm going to undo, I'm going to redo that sketch. So I'm going to offset that face, that face, that one, and minus 0.5, and then extrude. So you'll find when you start doing wagons like this, you'll go back in and you'll be editing things over and over again just to get it to look how you want it to look, but also having that trade-off between what looks good and what the printer can actually achieve. So there's my sole bar added in. Okay, so within that sole bar there's also a bit of bracing, so again I'll use that offset tool, making sure chain selection is turned off, and going around selecting all of those edges again, and minus 0.6, and then extruding this one forwards because it's like a bit of a bracing beam that goes around the outside. I'm going to extrude that by 0.2. So just a little bit of a step there. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the next one I'm going to draw is there's some bracing that goes from this top lip down to the sole bar. There's 6 of them on each side. So I'm going to create an offset plane on that back face, and I'm going to draw that plane to the first position, which was in line where this corner comes down. Then I'm going to create a sketch on that plane. Let's turn that away. Okay, so we're going to use a line to sketch this in. Draw a line down, and then snap that point to the corner there. And I want the edge to be the same height as that one. Okay, and then it diagonals in slightly, 0.3 millimeters at 50 degrees, and then it comes down again, 5 millimeters, and then diagonal in. And I'm going to put a constraint to that line. Change the dimensions. I want that to be 130. Actually, 135. That's better. Okay, once I've drawn the shape that I'm happy with, I've got to then come up around the back here because at the moment it's not complete. So I'm going to draw that. I can just come all the way up to match the height here and a line across the top. It doesn't matter that it goes inside here because I'm going to extrude anyhow, and all I need is to extrude that slightly, and I'm going to draw 3 of them on this side. I'm going to do them as new bodies. And then I can use my rectangular pattern, selecting the feature that I've just drawn. I need to select the direction to go across the bottom. I know that I need 3 of them. And if I turn my canvas back on, I can see the position of them and line them up in the correct position. So that's how we get those on there. Okay, I've just noticed in the picture this middle one's actually slightly more, was supposed to be slightly more towards the end. So I'm just going to go back into my history, edit the feature, and I'm going to change that to 2. Click on OK. Turn the canvas back on, rectangular pattern, select the original object, direction, and on the bottom, turn that side on. I can then change that to just 2 of them, get that one lined up. So that's a slightly closer gap there than it is there. Okay, so the next one I'm going to draw is a row of rivets that comes all the way along here. So I'm going to create a sketch on that face. I'm going to start in this bottom corner here, creating a centre point circle. And we're going to have that at 0.4 millimeters, 0.3 millimeters in diameter. Define the distance position, 0.3, height, 0.2. I'm going to extrude that out half the distance of the diameter, so 0.15, and then I'm going to use a fillet to round off the top tool on 0.15. That's how you get the rivet shape. Okay, so I'm not a rivet counter, I'm going to count every single one. I'm just going to pattern along till they look about the right spacing from the photograph. So I'm going to create a pattern on a path, select the feature as both the extrusion and the fillet of the rivet we've just drawn, the path coming all the way along here. So I'm going to select that line, that line, and that line. I'm not going to worry about that error. I'm just going to drag that so the last rivet is close to the end here. That's it. And then I'm just going to increase the number of rivets until it looks about the right spacing. And you can see as I've done that, these rivets have come low. So I'm going to go back into it, edit the feature, and that is because of this orientation here. I'm going to change from identical to path direction, and that will bring those back inside the edge here. Okay. Okay, there's also a second row of rivets that go above this and comes up diagonally on above this. So I'm going to create that pattern rectangular. I'm going to go back to the original features of the extrusion and the rivet, and I'm going to do direction. It's going to be going upwards. I need 2 of them. Okay, so now I've got 2 sets of rivets here. The next one I'm going to do is create a pattern on path. I'm going to use the object as the pattern that I've just done upwards. The path is going to be along there and along there. I'm going to drag that up the top here. I'm going to make sure that's on path direction again so that the rivets stay in the same place. And again, I'm going to increase the number of rivets so that it matches. Okay, I'm probably going to need to change them ever so slightly. I'm going to get rid of that one as well. So I'm going to go back into edit feature. I'm going to turn that one off. And I'm just going to move this ever so slightly. Okay, there's also a couple of rivets underneath these bracings, so I'm going to turn those off as well. Okay, there's also a row of rivets that go along this bracing here, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw a rivet up here, create a sketch. I can't use pattern this time because those features need to be on a different level. So I'm just going to create a circle up here, 0.3. Distance from there to the edge is 1.3, and the height there is 0.3. Going to extrude that out 0.15 and then fill it off the edge by 0.15. Okay, going to use the pattern on path again, and then select extrusion and the fillet, and the path is going to be that edge, that edge, that edge, and down there. Drag that all the way along, and then make sure that's on path direction, and increase. I'll start with 30 so it looks a bit more. Okay, happy with that. I'm going to just turn off these ones that are hiding underneath, partly sticking out here. That one, that one, that one. Okay, so that's how I've got my rivets on the side. Okay. The next one I'm going to look at is the wagon's got a planked deck. It's separated into 3 parts. I'm going to start drawing the plank on the bottom here. Let's do a 2-point rectangle. Don't mind it snapping to this line here. And I'm going to go 4mm by 1mm. I'm going to find the distance from there to there is 0.15. And I'm going to draw, that's going to be my plank, and I'm going to draw another rectangle here, same height, 4mm, 0.3mm spacing. I'm going to extrude downwards 0.3mm. I'm going to pattern this all the way along, and up onto the top here. So I'm going to do create pattern on path, select the features being that extrusion. Now you see how it's joined here. Now I don't want that, so I'm going to change faces. I'm going to select that face, that one, that one, and then the path is going to be along here, up there, middle line there. Let's come out of that a minute. I'm going to draw another sketch on here. I'm going to create a line that goes from there to there to act as my path. Finish that sketch. Okay, go back to where we were. Create pattern on the path, faces, that one, and then the path, that path, that one, that one, and that one. Okay. I want this to be one short of that. And just increase. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to change that as well, because I think that's going to be a bit too big there. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. It's giving me the planked effect that I'm after. I might actually reduce the gap there, thinking about it. So we'll go back into this one, edit the sketch. It's going to make that 0.2 meters. Yeah. And increase the number of features. Edit that. Path direction there. There you go, that's back. Okay, happy with that. Okay, so the next one I'm going to work on is start working on the buffer beam here. So I'm going to start off with some rivets. So there's a row of rivets here. They're going to be 0.3. And we'll define the position. 0.3 and the position here, 0.3 again. And then we'll extrude that out, 0.15, and then same as before, round off the top, 0.15. Okay, so there's 6 of them in a rectangle here, so I'm going to use my rectangular pattern. Features are going to be the extrusion and the fillet, the direction upwards on 3 of them, and I need 2 of them here. Okay, and the next thing across is the back plate of the buffer beam. So I'm going to use a centre point rectangle. So create a new sketch. Centre point rectangle. I'm going to find the midpoint of the buffer beam. Nope. Start that again. 0.5 by 3 millimeters. Define the position there. I know that's the midpoint, so I don't have to adjust it. And the distance there I'm going to have, just to make it easy to round up, 3.4. And then extrude that out by 0.2. Okay, so for the buffer beam, it's quite a simple one, so I could use the revolve tool. I'm just going to do the sketch on top of a sketch using the circular center point circle here. So I'm going to have it pretty much the same height. So I'm going to go 1.4. Okay, and I'm going to lock that positioning. I'm going to extrude that outwards. Let's just have a look on the sketch, see if it's defined. Yes, it is. So I can drag that out position wise. I go 2 mil. And then do the same again, create a sketch on the front surface here, it's slightly smaller. Let's go 1.1, and we'll extrude that out. We spin it around, you can see that it's already defined in the drawing in the background. And again, sketch on that front surface. This one's going to be bigger. Centre point circle again. 2. And then when we extrude that out, we can see if that 2.2 is going to give us the correct diameter based off of the sketch. So it's a little bit too big, so we can change that in a second. Probably actually only going to need to be 2 millimeters. There we go, that's better. So there you go, that's the buffer done. Okay, so each side of the buffer has 3 rivets on it. They're in a closer grouping than these ones. So we'll create a sketch on the back plate here to find the diameter. I seem to find this 0.3 size rivet gives, it's okay. Some of them they print okay, some of them don't. It depends on the orientation. And obviously I'm doing it in N gauge, so it's quite small as it is. In the bigger gauges you get a much better representation when you print these, but obviously you're doubling the size. And I will pattern that feature. Direction coming upwards. So there's 3 of them. And there you go. Okay, so the next part I'm going to draw is the backing plate for the coupling hook here. So again, create a sketch on there, and I'm going to use the 2-point rectangle I want it snapped into the edge there, and I'm going to have it 1.5 millimeters, and I want that to be 1 millimeter. I'm going to define the height there as 0.25. Extrude that out to the same height as the backing plate for the buffer. Okay, so there's 4 rivets on there, so just draw a sketch here. 0.3 and define the position. 0.3. 0.3. Extrude that out. Fill it off the top. And then rectangular pattern that feature. Direction is going upwards. And we only need 2 of them. Okay. And the next thing that we need is, let's turn that sketch off actually. That's going to bug me. The next thing is we're going to have some rivets in here. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is just combine these bodies into one here. So combine. These are the extra little bits. I should have done that earlier. It doesn't really matter. Combine those in. Click on OK. So now we're one body. I'm relatively happy with how the symmetrical parts come out so far. So I'm just going to mirror this up. So we're going to create, mirror, select bodies. The mirror plane. Initially, I'm going to start on that one. Click on OK. And then do the same again, do mirror, that body, why is it not selecting? That body, there you go. And we'll mirror plane on that one there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to copy these faces into the middle here. Okay, so I'm going to go back slightly on those mirrors, and I'm going to pattern, rectangular pattern, faces for that one there, that one there, that one there. Direction, I'm going to go there, so I'm going to go one of them. I'll skip back forwards. There we go. Okay, so now we need to put planking down the middle section here. So how are we going to do this? We're going to go rectangular pattern, and we're going to do faces. Let's start up here, selecting all these faces in here. That's it. Direction needs to be that way. Two of them. Looks like it's in the middle. Like that. Good. And then if I do create pattern on path, I can then change that to features, select that feature. Should be able to. Won't let me. So I shall change it to faces. Select all the faces in there. Like that. And then the path, going to be, so I'm going to have to draw the path again. So we'll create a sketch on their base there, draw that line from there to there, from there to there. So now I've got my path back in. I go back to pattern on path, select my faces in here again. And then I can change my direction, follow that path, that one, that one. Make sure that's path direction. And then increase the number until it matches the other sides. Okay, so we've got one missing here. Let's have a look, see what's happened there. In fact, I'm going to just do a save, just in case anything happens. Say Lowmac. Go back into the edit feature, see if that's turned off for some reason. There you go. So now we've got that planking effect across the whole wagon, except for these two ends here, because they're not planked on the actual wagon, they've got like a metal plate on them. Okay, so I'm happy with how that wagon's progressing there. I'm not going to draw the W-lines and the suspension braking for today. I'm going to leave it at that for today. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson as to how to go about drawing a wagon from a scaled plan. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment below. Otherwise, hit like and subscribe for me. It does make a difference. Thanks for watching.